Hi, my name is Richard Stecker, and I'm completing this video for the Week 1, Assignment 1 for EDLD 5302 for Lamar University. Today we're going to take a quick look at mindsets, education, comfort zones, things like that, and we're going to do it based on a lot of the readings in the videos we've seen from Carol Dweck, and we're going to focus on some of the mindsets that she's talked about. And importantly, we're going to kind of take a look at how we can apply this to education, to teaching, to administration, all of these sorts of things. So let's jump right into it. When it comes to mindsets, we're currently discussing that there are probably two major mindsets that people can fall into. Maybe that's not the case. Oftentimes things aren't as cut and dry as we try to make it, like there's just two categories, there's fixed and there's growth, and there's nothing in between. That may not actually be the case, but for right now, let's operate on the assumption that that's the case. We have two mindsets, the first of which is a fixed mindset. And the fixed mindset is basically the idea that your ability and your intelligence is a pretty set value. There's a point that you can grow to, and at that point you can't kind of grow anymore. And so you're either, a smart kid, or you're the not so smart kid, or you're the average kid. And you're kind of taught that when you're little, and that carries with you on into adulthood. And so when you're the smart kid or the not smart kid, the results don't just reflect what you currently know, the results reflect on who you are. You take that personally. You get the A on the test, that's a reflection of how smart you are. You get an F on the test, that's a reflection of how not smart you are, as opposed to being a reflection of where you are currently. We view that as our value, a part of what makes us valuable as a person. Now, the other mindset is called the growth mindset. The growth mindset is basically the idea that the learning process is more important than the product or the grade. And it also includes the idea that you can improve by practicing and by struggling through these problems. And so the F on the test doesn't mean that you're a failure. The F on the test means that you are not yet where you need to be in this area. So you need to keep working and learning and find resources to help you learn to get to where you want to be. And so these two mindsets are very different. One's fixed because you're stuck where you are with that grade. The other is growth because it's a starting point. Where I am today is not where I have to be tomorrow. That's up to you. So I'm going to give you an example of this because I'm very biased and I'm just going to be honest about it. Here's my example of a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. I grew up fishing bass ponds on the prairie where nobody else fished because they were stock dams. When I moved into the Black Hills, I had to fish for trout, different type of fish. And I thought, well, this isn't that hard. A fish is a fish. You put the worm on the hook, you throw the hook in the water, you wait and you catch the fish. And so I go up into the Black Hills, worm on the hook, hook in the water, and I don't catch anything. I got skunked. It's a terrible feeling. So what do? If I'm a fixed mindset guy, it's kind of like, well, shoot, I'm a bad fisherman. I didn't catch any fish. I had an idea. I thought my idea would work. I failed in this idea, and now I'm a failure. That's a bummer, So, well, that's one way to do it. You could look at, well, you're a bad fisherman. That's a fixed mindset. Growth mindset says, well, that's not the case. I was a bad fisherman, or I got bad results from this trial, but that does not have to be the last time I attempt this. So I go and I find somebody who's from the area, from the hills, and I say, hey, here's what I'm doing. I'm not catching a thing. Can you give me some advice? And this guy gives me some advice. He looks at my rig and my line, and he says, this is set up all wrong. Your line's too big. You got a big swivel on there. You don't need all this junk. It's not bass fishing. You need to simplify. Here's how deep your bobber needs to be. And by discussing and by collaborating with somebody who knows more than me, I can grow past those results and start catching some fish. And so I had my failure. And from that failure, instead of giving up and admitting that I was a failure, I decided to try again. And try again I did. And so what you end up getting, now you get to a point where I take this guy's advice, I change my gear, and I go and I catch fish. And well, now I've caught them with the worm, and I don't want to stop there because I don't have a challenge anymore. Now that I've succeeded in this and I'm stuck in that growth mindset, I want a challenge. I want to grow more. I want to learn more. I don't want to just stop at being able to catch a fish with a worm. Now I'm in the hills and this water is cold and there's trout in the water. I'm kind of wondering, maybe if I can do this with the spinning reel and the worm, can I do this with a fly rod? Can I do this with a fly? It doesn't smell like a worm or look like a worm. It's not natural. It's a bug, a little tiny bug. Casting's more difficult. Setting the hook is more difficult. And imitating the natural bugs are more difficult. And I've got to learn what the fish are eating and how to rig entirely new sets and relearn how to fish. And it's this huge challenge. And now my brain is just on fire with just this desire to grow and this desire to learn and challenge and push myself and learn about seasonal changes in insects and how that affects fish and water levels and how I can fish at any time of the year in any of these locations and figure a way to get these fish, because I'm being challenged now. And that challenge and that constant growth, as opposed to just accepting I am successful or I am failing, it is, what can I learn next? What can I do next? Can I tie my own flies? Can I build my own rod? Can I hike to places other people don't fish? It's this huge opening of learning that I can do once I get that growth mindset. So I do. I start to fly fish. I start to tie some of my own flies, travel to places that a lot of guys don't fish. And when you're struggling and you're learning through what started as a failure, and you learn to become better and you make yourself better, and it pays off and you're successful, it feels great. Because you didn't just catch the fish some way some guy told you how to do. You took what you started with and you grew into something completely different and completely unique. And this picture's me, and there's a fish, and what I caught it with, you can't buy it in stores. I made that. I grew and I learned, and it took years to get where I could learn to do that kind of stuff, but I got there. And that's a really authentic learning mindset, where your growth, there's not a limit. I mean, there's not a limit to what you can do with this. You can keep growing and keep getting better and keep going different places with what you're learning. And the best part about growing and learning is you get to teach it to other people. This is me. That's my son. And he's not fly fishing just yet, but he's getting the basics down. I get to teach him what I've learned from my experiences and show him that it's not just success or failure, it's constant growth that makes you better. And we can start that at a pretty young age. I think he might have been almost 3 in that picture. So let's apply this to education, because even if you don't like fishing, teaching, leadership, that's what this course is about. So this growth mindset, we think about this for kids. We don't want kids to see a bad grade as a failure, but as an opportunity to grow. And we also see this for teachers. Teachers don't see kids as the smart kids and the average kids and the not smart kids. Teachers should see kids as everyone can improve, everyone can grow, and we need to help students see themselves in that way. And so teachers who want to apply the tech in the classroom is what I'm focused on, because I can see this as a fixed mindset thing in my school setting, and I think it's that way in a lot of school settings. So if you're a teacher and you want to apply more technology in your classroom, you're going to have chances to fail. And that could be a bad thing, but it could be a lot of growth in that. What if your school internet's down and that's not working? All this work you put in could just be cut down for the day. What if the kids don't find it that interesting? And then all this time you put into finding this website and building this cool tool and thinking everything's going to work so great, and the kids just aren't engaged in it, then it could fail that way. What if you spend all the time researching a new site, and you build a new quiz or a homework thing or a review thing, and you don't like it? Then if we come across these failures, we are wasting what might be teachers' most precious commodity, and that's time. And I think that barrier of those initial failures are keeping a lot of teachers from taking risks, because they don't want to put all the time to sift through the useful and the not useful things on the internet and find a tool and build it and introduce it to the kids just to have it fail, or just to have computers crash, or just to have the internet not work. And so if you get in that fixed mindset, you can just say, let's just use our book and paper for questions, because that can't fail. I've done it before. I know it works. I've always done it this way. I've done this for 20 years. That would be kind of comparable to me saying, hey, let's just do a bobber and worm. I know that catches fish. I know it works. I've done it that way for years. But you're going to miss a lot of growth and a lot of excitement and a lot of authentic experiences if we don't break out of that comfort zone and push ourselves and push our kids a little. And failure might happen, and honestly, it's gonna, but you learn from that failure. And that's the kind of the point. So teachers are afraid to step into this because they're afraid they might end up getting really frustrated by technology that's not working or kids that aren't that interested in it. So here's a few steps we can take when we look at this mindset. This is from Carol Dweck's work and stuff we've been talking about in class. Step one, learn to hear your fixed mindset voice. So you're a teacher, you're thinking about working some new tech into your classroom, and you're going to have to ask yourself questions like, what if this fails? What if this doesn't work? Step two, recognize that we have a choice. Step three, we got to talk back to it with a growth mindset voice. And step four, we got to take our growth mindset action. So here's what this could look like. Let's say you're a teacher, you want to try a new formative assessment tool like Kahoot. It's got the colors, it's got the catchy background music, the kids can get it on their iPhones, and we could potentially get to what's like an almost holy grail for me, which is turning these smartphones from toys into tools, and we could really make our classroom an engaging place. So let's say you want to try that. Well, the first step is you got the fixed mindset. You recognize your fixed mindset voice. What if a Kahoot takes me too long to make and it's not effective for how many classes I teach every day? What if the kids' devices won't get on a school internet? What if the school internet blocks Kahoot? What if the kids' devices won't work with the game? What if they have varying speeds at which their devices work and they feel like this game is not fair to them? What if the kids don't have devices and I'm not at a school whose socioeconomic status allows every single kid to have the brand new iPhone? You know, if kids don't have cell phones or laptops or tablets, they can't play the game. They'd have to, work with a partner or something. So there's all these little hurdles we have to get over. So maybe it's not even worth my time, okay? The second thing, step two, we recognize we have a choice. Hey, I can try something new and see if it works, or I can sit stagnant doing the same exact thing I've always done. So step three, we talk back to ourselves with a growth mindset voice. I won't know how this game Kahoot works unless I try it. It's going to take me 10-15 minutes to make one. Let's make one. Let's try it with one class, and let's work the bugs out of it in one class. And then if one class likes it, maybe we can use it in more classes. Well, what if all the kids don't have phones? Well, that's okay. Can they work in teams? Can they group up? Can I get a laptop cart or an iPad cart or something like that and bring that in so that everybody's got the same opportunity at this learning experience? Is there a way we can work around these hurdles, or do we just have to quit when we see a hurdle? And then finally, the last step is to take the growth mindset action. I can try the game, or if I'm worried about the time it takes, I can ask my coworkers, have you guys tried Kahoot? Have you tried formative assessment tools online? Which ones do you like? Which ones don't you like? How are you having the kids participate in these? Teaching, it doesn't have to be an island. You got a whole staff right there and they all know different things. You can collaborate with your teachers and take that growth mindset action of, you know what, let's give this a shot. If it doesn't work, we've wasted 10-15 minutes. And that's a bummer, but that happens. Let's learn from it. Let's find something different. Let's find something new. Let's find something the kids do like. And so just having that attitude of we don't have to stop right where we are. We can always be pushing ahead into something new, I think makes your classroom a fun environment for kids to work in. And I think the kids are really receptive to it because they want to try something new. They want something new in their day too. They've seen the same thing that you've been doing for 20 years, and they've seen it in all their classes, right? So in conclusion, when you're looking at growth and fixed mindsets, the growth mindset is something that can really benefit teachers, it can benefit students, it can benefit teachers and administrators because everybody's got the same idea. The student has to believe that the grade's not reflecting who they are, the grade's just reflecting where they are right now. And so the student's got to believe they can continue to get better. Where they are today is not where they are forever, it's just where they are today. The student's parents have to believe that their student can get better and that their student can accomplish a lot and can work and can get better and can be driven. The teachers have to believe that the students can get better, and the teachers have to believe that they can get better. And for administrators, since I'm in educational tech and leadership, I think the administrators need to believe this for their teachers and their students and themselves and their school because all of these things, it's constantly growing. It should always be growing. The students should always be getting better, and the teachers, we should be making good teachers into great teachers and great teachers into wonderful teachers, and they should always be growing and improving, and the school should always be improving. And so having that growth mindset is really something that should be present at all levels of a campus, starting in the home, because what that's going to do for students' self-image, what it can do for what they're going to accomplish in life, for how driven they are and how motivated they are, that growth mindset's really going to be undoing a lot of damage that they might have from being taught already at such a young age that I'm a C student or I'm a D student or wherever they are, to I can grow, I can improve, and the whole school can improve. And so I think that's where the growth mindset fits into educational technology and leadership. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it made sense. So thanks for your time.